Listen carefully. If you ever work a late night shift alone, and a caller somehow knows exactly what you're doing before you say a word, hang up immediately. Don't stay curious. Don't keep listening. And if the caller starts describing things that haven't happened yet, leave the building. Because sometimes the person on the other side of the line isn't calling for help. Sometimes they're trying to find you. My name is Ryan Mercer, and 2 years ago, I worked night shifts at a roadside assistance call center outside Columbus, Ohio. Worst job I've ever had. Low pay, dead quiet most nights. Just endless coffee and exhausted people yelling about flat tires and dead batteries. The building itself used to be an old insurance office from the 1980s. 3 floors. Most apartments closed after 7 p.m. By midnight, only the overnight support team remained, usually 4 or 5 people. But on the night this happened, I ended up completely alone. And honestly, I still wish I'd gone home sick that evening. It started raining around 11 p.m. Hard rain, the kind that makes the entire city feel empty. A few co-workers called off because of the storm. Another left early after getting sick. By 12:40 a.m., I was the only person left on the entire floor. Rows of cubicles stretched through darkness around me. Computer monitors glowing faint blue. Phone silent. The vending machine humming in the corner. That was it. I remember checking the time constantly that night. Something about the building felt wrong. Already. Too quiet. Even the air conditioning sounded louder than normal. Then at exactly 1:13 a.m., my phone rang. One line. Incoming call. No caller ID. That wasn't unusual by itself. What was unusual was the audio. No static. No breathing. Nothing. Just silence. I adjusted my headset. Roadside assistance. This is Ryan speaking. How can I help you tonight? Still silence. Then finally, a man spoke. Very softly. Are you alone right now? Something about his voice immediately bothered me. Calm. Too calm. Like he already knew the answer. I leaned back slightly. Sir, are you calling for roadside assistance? A few seconds passed. Then he quietly said, You looked out the window 3 times already. My stomach tightened instantly. Because I had. The rain outside was bad enough that I'd checked the parking lot multiple times during the last hour. I sat upright slowly. Excuse me? The caller ignored the question. You keep checking the black car outside. Cold rushed through my chest. Because there was a black sedan parked across the street, and I hadn't mentioned it to anyone. I quickly looked toward the front windows. Rain poured down the glass. Streetlights reflected off wet pavement. And there it was, that same black sedan, parked beneath the broken streetlight, completely dark inside. I forced a nervous laugh. Okay, who is this? The man's voice remained perfectly calm. You should stop looking at it. My mouth went dry. Then the call disconnected. Deadline. I sat frozen for several seconds, trying to convince myself it was a prank call. Maybe one of the day shift guys messing with me. Had to be, but something still felt wrong. Very wrong. I stood up and walked toward the front windows carefully. The rain outside had gotten worse. The black sedan hadn't moved. Still sitting there. Engine off. No headlights. No visible driver. Then suddenly, its headlights turned on. Both beams shining directly toward the building. I stepped back immediately, heart beating harder now. And right then, my office phone rang again. Same line. No caller ID. I stared at the screen for several seconds before answering. Who is this? Soft static crackled through the speaker. Then the same calm voice returned. You shouldn't stand near the windows. Every hair on my arms stood up. How are you seeing me? No answer. Then quietly, second row, third cubicle from the left. I slowly turned around. That was exactly where I worked. Every muscle in my body tightened. Who are you? The caller ignored me again. Instead, he asked, Do you know why people hate empty buildings at night? The lights overhead flickered once. Just once. And for half a second, I thought I saw movement near the far end of the office. Someone standing between the cubicles. Then darkness again, when the lights steadied. Nothing was there. The caller whispered, because buildings sound different when someone else is inside them. The line went dead again. I immediately stood up. Okay, nope. I grabbed my phone and headed toward the elevator. I didn't care if it was a prank anymore. Something felt seriously wrong. The elevator doors opened immediately, but just before I stepped inside, I heard something behind me. A phone ringing. Not my desk phone. Another line. Somewhere deeper in the office. One single phone, ringing in total darkness. I stopped walking. Every instinct told me to leave. Instead, I listened. Ring, ring, ring. The sound echoed unnaturally through the empty cubicles. Then suddenly, another phone started ringing. Then another, until dozens of office phones were ringing all around the floor. At the exact same time, my chest tightened hard. That wasn't normal. Not possible. Then all the ringing stopped together. Instant silence. And from somewhere deep in the office, I heard footsteps. Slow footsteps moving between cubicles. Crunch. Step. Crunch. Like wet shoes against carpet. I stared into the darkness. Hello. The footsteps stopped instantly. Then my own desk phone rang again. One single line. I swallowed hard and answered slowly. The caller spoke immediately this time. He's behind you now. I spun around instantly. Nobody there. But the elevator doors behind me suddenly closed by themselves and started going down, without me inside. The caller laughed quietly for the first time. Not loud, not crazy. Worse, like someone enjoying a private joke. Then he whispered, "You look too slowly." The office lights flickered harder this time, and suddenly, every computer monitor on the floor turned on at once. Dozens of glowing screens lighting up the darkness. Every single monitor showed the same thing. Security camera footage. Live footage of me standing inside the office. My blood went ice cold because the camera angle was from inside the building, somewhere behind me. Then the caller quietly said, "Now listen carefully." The camera footage slowly zoomed closer, closer toward my back. And just before the screen glitched, I saw it, a tall, dark figure standing directly behind me, smiling. I spun around so fast I nearly fell. Nothing there, only empty cubicles, dark computer screens, rain hitting the windows. But my heart was pounding hard enough to hurt. I looked back at the monitors. The figure was gone. Every screen returned to normal desktop backgrounds at the exact same time. Then the office lights dimmed slightly, and the caller whispered, "You're finally starting to notice him." The line disconnected. I backed away from the desk immediately. Every instinct screamed at me to get out of the building. I pulled out my phone to call security. No signal, not even one bar. That made no sense. The building sat right in the middle of Columbus. Signal should have been perfect. Then, one of the printers nearby started running by itself, paper slowly sliding out. I stared at it for several seconds before walking closer. Still warm from printing. Only one sentence written across the page. "He isn't on the cameras anymore." Cold rushed through my body, and right then, I heard breathing behind me. Slow, heavy, way too close. I turned instantly. Nothing, but one cubicle chair near the back of the office was slowly spinning, like someone had just stood up from it. The lights overhead flickered again, longer this time, and during that brief darkness, I heard footsteps sprinting somewhere across the office floor. Fast, wet, impossible to track. Then silence again. My hands were shaking now. I grabbed my backpack and headed for the emergency stairwell instead of the elevator. The second I pushed open the stairwell door, freezing cold air hit my face. Way colder than it should have been. The concrete stairwell stretched downward into darkness, and somewhere below, a phone was ringing. I froze immediately. That sound wasn't coming from the office anymore. It was coming from downstairs. Ring, ring, ring. The sound echoed upward through the stairwell. Then, a voice quietly drifted upward too. "Ryan." I stopped breathing for a second, because it was my mother's voice. Exact. Perfect. "Ryan, honey?" Every hair on my body stood up. My mother died 6 years ago. The voice came again from the darkness below. "Please come down here." My legs locked in place. Then the caller's voice suddenly whispered through my headset again, even though I had disconnected the office phone. "Don't answer him." I ripped the headset off immediately, heart hammering violently. "How are you doing this?" Silence. Then, quietly, he likes familiar voices. The stairwell lights flickered once, and for one horrifying second, I saw someone standing 3 floors below me. Tall, completely still, head tilted upward toward me unnaturally far. Then darkness again. I slammed the stairwell door shut and stumbled backward into the office. Breathing hard now, the building no longer felt empty. It felt occupied, like something had been slowly moving closer this entire time. Then every office phone rang again. At once, hundreds of ringing lines screaming through the darkness. The sound became unbearable. I covered my ears, and suddenly, all the ringing stopped except one. My desk phone, still ringing. I stared at it from across the office. Something deep inside me already knew answering was a terrible idea, but somehow I still walked toward it, slowly, like the sound itself was pulling me closer. Ring, ring, ring. Finally, I picked it up. The caller spoke instantly. He's standing outside the conference room. My blood froze. The conference room sat near the far end of the office floor. Dark glass walls. No lights inside. I slowly turned my flashlight toward it. At first, nothing. Then lightning flashed outside the windows. And for half a second, I saw a silhouette standing inside the conference room. Tall, too tall, head nearly touching the ceiling, motionless behind the glass. Then darkness again. The caller whispered, "Don't let him know you can see him." I backed away slowly. What'd I ask that thing? A long silence followed. Then, "It used to answer calls here." Cold spread through my chest. "What?" The caller sighed softly. 3 years ago, overnight employee disappeared during a storm. Lightning flashed again. The figure inside the conference room had moved closer to the glass, its face still hidden in darkness. "They found blood inside the stairwell," the caller continued, "but no body." My breathing became uneven. "That's not funny. I'm not joking." Then quietly, it learned how people sound afterward. Every light on the floor suddenly shut off. Total darkness. Immediately, I heard movement. Fast footsteps rushing through cubicles around me. Phones slamming down. Chairs scraping violently across carpet. And somewhere nearby, someone laughing softly. Not human laughter. Something trying to imitate it. I turned on my phone flashlight. The beam shook violently in my hand. Cubicles stretched endlessly through darkness. Then, I saw someone standing near the copy room. A man, office clothes soaked dark from rain, head lowered slightly. At first I thought it was another employee, until he slowly looked up. His face looked wrong, like melted wax shaped into a human expression, and his smile stretched too wide across his skin. The thing spoke using my own voice. "You stayed too long." I ran instantly, straight across the office floor. The creature moved after me immediately, not running normally, jerking forward in sudden, unnatural movements. Cubicle walls slammed over behind me as it chased me through the darkness. I reached the lobby and smashed the emergency exit alarm beside the door. Nothing happened. No alarm. No lights. Nothing. The caller suddenly shouted through the dead headset, still hanging around my neck. The windows. I turned toward the front glass entrance, and my stomach dropped, because outside, the black sedan was gone. The parking lot completely empty now, except for one thing. A person standing directly outside the glass doors, watching me. Tall silhouette, motionless in the rain. Then slowly, it raised one hand and pointed behind me. I turned. The thing from the office stood at the end of the hallway, smiling wider now, its jaw slowly opening too far for a human face. The lights overhead flickered violently, and suddenly, dozens of voices started whispering all around the office. Different people, different accents, different ages, like hundreds of stolen voices speaking together at once. "Stay. Answer the call. We hear you." The creature tilted its head sharply, then sprinted toward me. I dove sideways just as it slammed into the glass entrance hard enough to crack it. Up close, the smell hit me first. Rotting water, mold, something dead. Its face kept shifting slightly. Different eyes, different mouths, different people. Like it couldn't hold one identity together. Then outside, the shadow beside the parking lot suddenly moved. Fast, too fast, and smashed through the front doors from outside. Now, there were two of them. The office lights exploded one by one, glass raining down everywhere. I crawled backward desperately. Then my headset crackled again. The caller's voice returned one last time. Ryan! I could barely breathe. Who are you? Long silence. Then, quietly, I'm the one who answered before you. My blood went cold. The creatures slowly turned toward me together. Smiling, the caller whispered, "Don't let them hear your real voice." Then the line died forever. And right then, the backup generators kicked on. Bright emergency lights flooded the office. The creatures vanished instantly. Gone. Completely gone. Only destruction remained. Broken glass. Overturned cubicles. Phones hanging off desks. Police arrived maybe 20 minutes later after another building nearby reported power failures. They searched the entire office. Found nobody. No footprints. No signs of forced entry. Nothing. But one officer did pull me aside before I left. Older guy. Looked nervous. He quietly asked, "Did the phones ring before you saw them?" I stared at him. "How do you know that?" The officer didn't answer immediately, then softly said, "You're the third overnight employee to report it." I quit the next morning. Never went back. And for almost a year after that, every single night, at exactly 1:13 a.m., my phone would ring once. No caller ID. No voicemail. Nothing. I never answered until one night I accidentally picked up and immediately heard my own voice whisper, "Ryan, we finally found you." Smiling face with horns, if the story made you check the dark corners of your room tonight, then you already know one thing. Some calls should never be answered. So before you sleep tonight, tell me in the comments, telephone receiver, would you answer the 1:13 a.m. call? And if you heard a phone ringing somewhere in an empty office right now, would you go looking for it? Don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe bell, and turn on notifications, because the next story might start with your phone ringing in the middle of the night. And remember, if an unknown caller already knows where you are, hang up immediately. Smiling face with horns.